Representative Bellamy, you may proceed whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. During this regular legislative session, I brought before the House of Representatives a resolution which packs the state of Missouri, a state which had a very vital role in slavery, a state which sanctioned its existence. We sit here today, a very great day, a very symbolic day, a very historic day, where downstairs, 167 years ago, we had Dred Scott in this very same building fighting for his freedom. It's here today that I ask the state of Missouri again to consider acknowledging its role and apologizing for that role. I want the committee to understand, and I want the people of this great state to understand that it's more than an apology. What this represents is an opportunity for us to really address the issues of race. What this represents is an opportunity to open up a meaningful dialogue to address the disparities that exist today. The social disparities, the racial disparities, the disparities in the educational system, the economic disparities. Disparities in which I believe have been created as a result of slavery. With that, Mr. Chairman, we can proceed forward and take those who wish to testify.
Okay. Thank you, Representative. I know this is a resolution that was heard last session. I just want to state for the record that we had a lot of bipartisan support. Speaker Rod Jetten was also one of the co-sponsors of this particular resolution. Today, what we're trying to do is make sure that there's input, there's bipartisan support for a piece of legislation like this. But more important than that, we want to have this committee here to bring it to the people in this very heartfelt resolution that we have this hearing in the old courthouse where the Dred Scott case was tried. With that, Representative, please call your first witness.
My first witness would be Jamala Rogers from the Organization of Black Struggle.
The Organization for Black Struggle stands in full support of Resolution 26 as a minimal, and I repeat, minimal, effort towards repairing the damage done by slavery and the associated laws, policy, customs, and practices that have aborted and stifled the political, economic, and social advancement of African descendants in the state of Missouri. The admission of wrongdoing of an injustice is the first step towards healing and remedy. We encourage the Missouri legislature to boldly take that step by passing this resolution. The Organization for Black Struggle believes that the examples and incidents outlined in Resolution 26 are just a pittance of evidence that documents the historical injustices of slavery and its subsequent remnants of racial discrimination that have affected every quality of life indicator for African Americans in the state of Missouri. And I think Representative Talib Al-Amin pointed to a couple of those in his opening statements, including disparities in education, health care, housing, and other quality of life indicators. However, there are countless other examples of ways that slavery and racial discrimination have impacted Black families in this state. One such example is now the focus of the documentary Banished. The violent expulsion of Black citizens of Pierce City, Missouri, is a graphic example of Missouri's ethnic cleansing that legally robbed Blacks of their citizenship, their land, their property, their homes, their bank accounts, their dignity, and ultimately their future. I submit to you another case that is not as violent, but the results are similar for a family and their descendants. And it happens to be one that I've been working on for the last 4 years through our organizational affiliation with the Black Radical Congress. Eli King, a white landowner in St. Charles County, took on Phoebe as his common-law wife in the mid-1800s. Phoebe was a Black slave woman. 8 children were born to this union. Laws restricted their legal marriage, yet the community where the Kings lived saw them and treated them as family. For reasons unknown, perhaps it was the pressures of the day, Eli King married a white woman in West Virginia, but still spent significant time with his Missouri family. Eli King left a will that was very specific, and that is that his property in Missouri would go to his children, and that the Virginia property would go to his legal wife. The language in his will revealed that he was acutely aware of the potential dangers of his children not receiving their fair share. And so consequently, Keene included a provision that his legal wife would nullify the will if she ignored his Missouri heirs. Unfortunately, Sophronia Keene did just that after her husband's death. That case went all the way to the Missouri Supreme Court, which awarded the entire estate to Sophronia and voided Eli's land inheritance to his children. The interracial Keene children were deemed as not legitimate and therefore not eligible to property rights, even the right of their father's inheritance. Eli's eldest son, Ellis Keene, went on to appeal this to the U.S. Supreme Court, who summarily dismissed the case. The Organization for Black Struggle believed both courts violated the existing laws of Missouri and the Civil Rights Act of 1866. They also ignored the Missouri Solemn Public Act of 1821, the precursor of the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Law. The state of Missouri disregarded its own laws, resulting in the continuation of racism and the denial of the King descendants to inherit the wealth that was rightfully theirs. Today, that King property has gone through several owners and is now worth millions of dollars, yet that black family will never receive any of those benefits. We believe this scenario is one of many where the loss of land and other property, whether it was from terrorizing people off the land or from outright theft, has yet to be vetted and properly addressed. It is a tragic example of what has taken place with people of African descent based on the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow. There is sufficient documentation that exists as to how inherited wealth can positively position the financial stability of a family and secure the future of its descendants. Thomas Shapiro makes an excellent case of this in his book, The Hidden Cost of Being African American, How Wealth Perpetuates Inequality. In his book, The Cost of Privilege, Taking on the System of White Supremacy and Racism, Richard Smith addresses the destruction of black people's legal and human rights during our country's post-Reconstruction period. This violent period of white supremacy has had an enduring impact on all citizens. And we think the same can be said of the Dred Scott decision, which was decided right here in this courtroom, that has affected the psyche of both black and white citizens in St. Louis and has had far-reaching implications for race relations right up to the present day. The work of premier groups such as the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in Missouri and others have resulted in apologies by individual families, by corporations, municipalities, etc. The efforts have seen some monetary benefits for affected families and their communities. Japanese descendants received monetary benefits under similar circumstances when families were snatched from their communities, forced to leave all possessions and properties behind, and were detained in internment camps during World War II. As previously stated, the adoption of Concurrent Resolution 26 is a step towards acknowledging the injustices of the state of Missouri towards its black citizens. These were perpetrated and condoned by government, civic and social institutions, and also by individual white citizens. It is a part of Missouri's ugly past that has yet to be fully and purposefully lifted up for discussion. The Organization for Black Struggle applies the efforts of Talib Al-Amin, encourages the legislators of Missouri to take that step forward. We believe we can write a new chapter in race history in this state. Thank you.